Lake Show, Laker fans. Hey, Laker fans. What's going on? My bad, Laker fans. I've been out. I basically was load managing for like almost a week here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. We got a lot to get into. Got a lot to catch up on. Missed 2 post-game shows in a row. That doesn't happen very often. But when basically you're stuck in bed and are trying to get over a cold, I was struggling there for a second there, but we're all good to go. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. We got a lot to get into. I got some catching up to do. Obviously, we're going to talk about this game against the Dallas Mavericks. Got you guys as best as I can. 127 to 110. 2 wins in a row for the Lakers. 2 quality wins for the Los Angeles Lakers. Back to 500. I don't want to get too excited about this team because this team has not really given us too many reasons to be excited. I think it's kind of been a little bit all over the place. I think everybody would agree with that. We're past the halfway point to the season. I want to spend some time talking about the new starting lineup and D'Angelo Russell specifically. D'Lo's having some games here lately where he's been very quiet, and now all of a sudden that has not been the case. He's certainly playing better basketball, more consistent basketball on the offensive side. So we'll spend a lot of time on that. We'll take a look at where the Lakers are in the standings. We'll spend some time going through a little bit of everything. So I appreciate you all being a part of the show. I did look at a couple of the chats so far. Good game, finally passing around the perimeter instead of cross court. Another one here, good win. Lakers keep the winning streak going. That's 2 in a row. Again, it's not winning 2 games in a row that I think means anything. I think it's more to do with just the mere fact that they beat 2 quality teams, especially the way the Lakers had been playing. So we'll talk about the types of wins that the Lakers had. I got some people here, of course, with the boxing gloves. Players played great defense tonight, Sliwa. D'Lo making trades tough now. By the way, that's a good problem to have. Got a couple people here saying was waiting for you last game. Yeah, my apologies there. Was trying to get over a cold, man. Could not freaking get over this cold. But I'm back. We're good to go. I will tell you this. If there's a time to be sick, those past couple of days were not bad because I had basically Saturday, Sunday, and Monday where I was pretty much just laying in bed all day. There was a lot of sports going on. A lot of NFL. A lot of NBA. I was catching the games. I just couldn't react to some of these games here. Okay, let's talk about. I want to spend a little time talking about tonight's actual game. All right, 127 to 110. What does it mean? It means the Lakers 21-21 on the season. Tonight was an impressive win. I thought the win against Oklahoma City was an impressive win. I thought 2 games in a row we could all kind of sit there and say to ourselves, "Hey, that's solid." Those are 2 games that you should feel proud about as a Laker fan and have some optimism of Lakers potentially turning a corner and saying, all right, let's move things into gear. Or maybe it's just a matter of some of these guys coming back and they're getting a little bit healthier. As an example, Jared Vanderbilt looks a lot better than he did, you could say, 2 weeks ago or so. For the first time now, we know what the starting lineup is going to be for the foreseeable future. D'Lo looks like he's very excited to be back in the starting lineup and wants that chance to prove himself. Don't take me out of the starting lineup again. Bron and AD, they're going to continue doing what they're doing. But in these last couple of games, I think the thing that's been most impressive with me, and I know I'm lumping the 2 together, but it's okay. OKC's a really good team. In Dallas, 7 games over 500. Luka came back today. They had a really impressive win their last game against the Pelicans without Luka, where Tim Hardaway Jr., I want to say, put up 41. Kyrie put up 42. So Dallas has been playing good basketball, 7 games over 500 coming in. I think in these last 2 games, the few things that stands out to me the most, I would say, is the fact that the Lakers are playing defense again. They're back to, at least in these last 2 games, they gave up 106, I want to say, to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then 110 to the Dallas Mavericks. And you go look at the key players for the Dallas Mavericks. Luka got his 33, 13, and 10. He's going to do that. That's fine. But he was only 2 and 9 from the 3-point line. Okay, if Luka's going to get his, which we all agree Luka's going to go get his, Kyrie was 4 of 16 from the field tonight. Tim Hardaway Jr. was 5 of 17 from the field tonight. Those two guys combined had 24 points. In that other game I was talking about, they had 83. So they went from 83 points combined to just 24 points. And looking at some of their other players, nobody else really stood out. So Grant Williams, a non-factor in this game. Lively the second had a nice game, especially early on. He ended up with 16 and 11. Most of the damage he's going to do is around the paint, a lot of putbacks. But for the most part, I thought the Lakers defensively were solid. And specifically in that second half and specifically in that third quarter, that's where they kind of blew the game open. It's a close game. By the time it got to halftime, it was only a 2-point game. Lakers were only up 2. The way they closed out that second quarter wasn't great. Gave Dallas some opportunities to get to the free throw line. But it was nothing special in that first half. Third quarter, Lakers came out. They were a completely different team. And I thought there was a very, very important break. It was a 7-point game. And Phoenix. Dallas had a fast break, and Tim Hardaway Jr. takes a 3 in the corner. If that 3 goes in, it's a 6-0 run for Dallas, and they're only down 4. They miss. LeBron hits a 3 on the other end. It's 10. I think D'Lo hit a bucket, and I want to say Austin Reeves or D'Lo, somebody else hit a 3. And before you know it, you blinked. It was 15, and the Lakers kind of took off from there. But I go back to the defensive side. At least for me, that's always going to be the thing. I think the Lakers are at their best when they get stops and they play defense. I don't care whether the Lakers drop 130 points or not, but I feel like in games where they play good defense, there's a good chance they are going to drop 120 plus. And that happened against Dallas. Now, people could say, what was it? OKC took 49 3-pointers in their last game against the Lakers. And people could say, oh, well, OKC just wasn't hitting their shots. Tim Hardaway Jr., Kyrie Irving, they just weren't hitting their shots. Luka only goes 2 of 9 from the 3-point line. He just wasn't hitting his threes. You can make that case, but I'd rather give the Lakers credit. And I say that because we've also had a lot of games. That Phoenix game, for example, nobody could miss for Phoenix. Bradley Beal was unstoppable. What was that game on? Friday night or Saturday? I can't remember. Thursday night. So I know the Lakers, I know there are times where we watch them and we see how poorly they play on the defensive side. I'm going to give them credit for these last 2 games for making things happen on the defensive side. This is something I thought it was interesting. There was a trio tonight for the Lakers, like an actual trio. And usually this is not a trio that we talk about. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and D'Angelo Russell. I'll go through some of the other guys, and then I want to talk about D'Angelo on his own here specifically. Bron is talking right now. Let me see if I could hear anything from Bron. – 33 assists for the Lakers tonight, by the way. Didn't turn over the ball much, he said. Talking about Vando and getting healthier and healthier. A couple things, and something I like here from Bron. I'm going to get into I'm going to call it trio for one game. But something about Bron that you could see his demeanor, and I like this. Doesn't look impressed at all. Doesn't look like, anything special happened. And I was thinking about that during the game. I'm like, am I going to come on here and I don't want to be dramatic here. Look at the Lakers. They beat the Mavs. Look at the Lakers. They beat the Thunder. It's kind of what they're supposed to do. And I guess the reason why we get excited or impressed about the Lakers are doing, they've just been playing so poorly that even when they have a win against Dallas, who they should be beating, I was mentioning this in the pregame show. If I told you halfway through the season between the Lakers and the Mavs, one of these two teams are a game below 500, the other team is 7 games over 500 and in 5th place in the Western Conference, you would have said, oh, well, that must be the Lakers, right? So I like the demeanor of LeBron James. Doesn't look excited at all. Doesn't, isn't smiling. Almost looks like, yeah, we just took care of business. Yeah, this is what we're supposed to do. Yeah, if we play defense, we got chances to win. Yeah, we had 33 assists. Well, look at our squad. We got so many of these different players. So I'm a fan of that demeanor there from LeBron. Okay, a couple things I'm going to point out. So you got the obvious ones. I was really hoping AD was going to get that 10th assist just for him to get a triple-double. Would have been great to see. 9 dimes for Anthony Davis, but AD, 28 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 12 of 17 from the field in 33 minutes of play. Okay, no real surprise with Anthony Davis. He did what he did. This is what Anthony Davis does. The 9 assists, very impressive. All right, let's look at LeBron. LeBron, 25 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, 10 of 19 from the field. Again, not that, this is LBJ. This is what he does. He's typically on the season so far. He's basically 25, 7, and 7. So this is what Bron averages. Nothing special, nothing great. That's what those two players do every single night. Here's what the question mark is going to be. Do they get help from other players? Are there other guys there on a night in, night out basis that the Lakers can depend on? And the answer has been really no. I mean, there has been nobody that you can look at on a night in, night out basis, and you could say, yeah, I know exactly what this guy's going to deliver for the Lakers. D'Angelo Russell tonight dropped another 29 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 29 points. Very aggressive these last couple of games. And 11 of 20 from the field, 5 of 7 from the three-point line. I put up a stat here. I was watching Spectrum before I went live here. 16 of 32 from the three-point line in his last 4 games, shooting 50% from 3 in his last 4 games. Okay? I actually have his stats here in his last 4 games. I want to point them out because I think it's important to point out. He had a game against the Phoenix Suns where he had 19 points and 6 assists. He had a game against the Utah Jazz. Obviously, Lakers lost that game. 39 points and 8 assists. Now, they lost. That game wasn't really all that close, but still pretty damn impressive for D'Lo to be putting up 39 points. Last game against OKC, he had 14 points and 6 assists. Was that the last game? Yeah, that was the last game. 14 points and 6 assists. That was a win for the Lakers. And then this one tonight, he drops 29 points for the Lakers, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Hey, we got to give credit where credit's due. Right now, I want to give D'Angelo Russell some credit. And, I don't know what's changed. Maybe it's his opportunity to get back into the starting lineup. Maybe it's his opportunity saying, you know what, F it. If I'm going to get freaking traded, I'm going to go out swinging. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that, look at his minutes in these last few games. He played 36 minutes tonight. He played, let's look at some of his stats here, 36 minutes against the Thunder, 41 minutes against Utah, and 27 minutes against the Phoenix Suns. The game before that was the loss against, or the win against Toronto, where he only played 17 minutes. But they're also playing him a lot more minutes. You could look at this a couple different ways, and I think there are a couple different ways to look at it. One way that you could look at it is you could simply just kind of sit back and say, okay, well, maybe he's got a chip on his shoulder. Maybe he's trying to make sure that before the NBA trade deadline that the Lakers, if the Lakers are thinking of trading D'Angelo Russell, you better think 2, 3, 4 times. No, I belong on this team. Maybe he's increasing his own value so that if he does get traded, there's a team out there that says, okay, hey, we want D'Lo because of how he's performing. I don't know the reason for it. I just know that he's producing in these last couple of games. And I also know that somebody who has spent a lot of time watching Lakers basketball, like a lot of you guys on here, and that has spent time covering the team, when D'Lo goes, that just changes everything for the Lakers. Because I think Austin Reeves is always going to get you his 14 to 18 points, somewhere around there. What Reeves end up with tonight? Ended up with 14 points, 6 of 8 from the field, and had 7 assists. So Austin Reeves got to become a little bit of a facilitator here. But D'Lo, who's not, I always say this, D'Lo is not a natural, he's a natural scorer in the sense that he can score, but I feel like he wants to facilitate first. He's a pass first type of point guard. That doesn't mean that he can't score. It just means that I think he wants to get other guys involved before He'll feed others before he feeds himself. However, they need him to be aggressive. They need him to look for his shot, take the right shot. They need him to hit his jumpers. They need him to, if he's got a good shot, to take it. They need him to create. They do need him to. The question is, can D'Lo give you something on a consistent basis? In these last 4 games, I like to highlight him because he deserves it. And the Lakers, I do think there's a different level that this team goes to when he's a real weapon on offense. And that weapon could be, okay, if he doesn't want to score, even though I think when he does score, that does change the dynamic for the Lakers. But even if he's a facilitator and has 10, 12 dimes or, has one of those games, you're still asking for, well, you're going to get in double digits, right? You're going to get near 13 to 15 points, somewhere around there. But give D'Lo his credit. D'Lo deserves the credit. And there was a trio tonight. To have a team, I went through the stats of what AD and LeBron did. Well, those are normal. Those are not surprising. The surprising one was, wow, D'Lo dropped 29 for the Lakers. And we're about 3 weeks away from the NBA trade deadline. You're going to hear D'Lo's name come up a lot. I would not be surprised if he got shopped. But I think he's only helping the team and himself by having performances like this. So shout out to D'Lo for doing what he did. All right, let's get a couple of these supers in here. Francis, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate that. We're lucky Dante Exum did not play tonight. Francis, so funny you say that. I was looking at the injury report. So when I'm doing the pregame show, there's a portion of the injury report on 710 ESPN. It's presented by Jacob and Ronnie, blah, blah, blah. Go into it, right? It's like a feature that we do. And when I looked at the status report, the injury report for the Dallas Mavericks, I'm like, Exum's not playing. Dante Exum, if you guys remember, when we were in Dallas, however long ago that was, I think it was the first game actually after the in-season tournament, Dante Exum hit 7 threes on the Lakers. He was 7 of 9. Every time we do a post-game show and we're talking about some of these players that are just, clearly delivering and maybe shooting much better than they're usually accustomed to, it's Marcus Smart hitting 8 threes. It's Dante Exum hitting 7 threes. Tim Hardaway Jr., I think that night, also went for 30 plus. What's another one we had recently? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, no, it was Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal had the 8 threes from the Phoenix Suns. So it seems like there's always somebody there balling out against the Lakers. All right, another one here. Purple and gold. D'Lo faking. He will be bum if we don't trade him. I'm going to assume that's bum, not buns. I don't know what to tell you. I'd rather just give the man credit because there's a lot of times that we're critical on D'Angelo Russell, myself included. So it's only fair to give him credit because he's been performing well, and that's helpful to the Lakers right now, period. So purple and gold, I appreciate the super. Let's get another one of these in here. Richard. Hey, Slee, glad you're feeling better. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. If Lakers don't make a trade, do you think they will try the buyout market? 100%. And I think the buyout market is every contending team or team that thinks they're contending. That's why the Lakers always leave basically one roster spot open. They usually do that, and they've done that in the past is because they can get Andre Drummond in the buyout market, or I'm trying to think here off the top of my head. If there's a player out there that they can go grab in the buyout market, that's certainly the strategy that the Lakers will take, and I'm sure they'll do that again. Even if they make a trade, I think they would still have some interest in the buyout market. But I think they're going to. If I had to bet money on it, I would think that the Lakers would make a trade. So that's what I think. I think they'll eventually make a move. D'Lo's playing great. Buns is slang for ass, Lee. Thank you, Pale. I appreciate that. I'm so with the trends right now. You know what I mean? D'Lo best plus minus on the team. Something crazy here. So last night I had Bill McDonald, who does the TV play-by-play for Spectrum Sportsnet. He does the broadcast with Stu Lance. And I had him on, and he mentioned that to me. He's like, hey, I don't know how much you pay attention to plus minus, but would you believe that D'Angelo Russell has the highest plus minus on the team? I'm like, D'Lo does? And I think I had read I read that somewhere last week or whatever the case is. I'm like, wow, no, I did not know that. So it's an impressive stat there. And again, I go back to it. I'm going to give the man his credit. Now, is it going to change everything? I think for the Lakers, they got to be consistent, and so do players like D'Angelo Russell. The reason why the Lakers, I'll tell you exactly why the Lakers are at 500, 42 games into the season. They're at 500, not because of LeBron James, not because of Anthony Davis, not because those two guys haven't been available. It's because of everybody else. That's why they're 500. Is because they need Rui. They need D'Lo. They need Austin Reeves. They need Taurean Prince. They need Vando. They need these guys. You know, we can't sit here and have all this conversation and dialogue about how the Lakers got all this great depth, and then we get to the season starting and there's zero consistency from their bench players and their role players. There just hasn't been. That's why they're 500. The Lakers are 500 because all those other players have not lived up to the expectations. I would go as far as saying I think they've regressed. So if that's going to change, that's going to change. If the Lakers are all of a sudden going to win, they're going to go on a 7 of 9, 8 of 10, win 8 of 10 games, something like that, and all of a sudden start moving up the standings. That's only going to happen under one condition, that the role players start balling out a little bit. And that's going to be the hope for the Lakers. Okay, got another okay, Arthur here. Arthur, I appreciate the super here. So if you guys weren't here for, I think, the last episode I did, I basically kept using the word Fugazi, and every time I used the word Fugazi, I had to explain to everybody what was Fugazi. Fugazi comes from, I think people know by now, Donnie Brasco. I think everybody knows this by now. Johnny Depp, he's sitting there. Al Pacino comes behind him, comes with the diamonds, takes a look at him. He's like, hey, can you look at these? He's like, yeah, these are Fugazis. Pacino's like, the hell's a Fugazis? They're fake. They're real. They're not real. So, Arthur, I think I told the chat, anytime you throw Fugazi in, of course I'm going to put you in the chat. It's the greatest word ever created. What's a better word than Fugazi? When you need him most, he will not show up. I'm assuming, Arthur, I'm assuming you're talking about D'Lo. Hey, listen, people can be critical. By the way, all the supers, I appreciate you guys sending them in. You guys can be critical on that. That's okay. I think all I'm telling you is this. You can be negative about it, not even negative about it. You could say, Al, I don't think D'Lo just changed. He just had a couple of good games. You could say that. What I'm going to tell you is, in his last 5 games, I've seen 14-6, 39-8, 19-6, and then whatever he did tonight with his 29, 4-3. 50% from the 3-point line, 16 of 32. Look, you guys don't have to sell me on holding back for a second on D'Angelo Russell. I'm very critical of D'Angelo Russell, but I'm also going to give the man his credit if I feel like he's had a couple of good games in a row. And whether we're sitting here in the next chat and he has a bad game, then you guys can make that case, and I don't blame you guys for making that case at all. New starting lineup. So I didn't get a chance to really spend a lot of time on this, on the new starting lineup. So far, so good. So far, so good. You look at those players, and it's. I think it's interesting because when Darvin Ham said this is going to be the starting lineup for the Lakers for the foreseeable future, he said that after the last game, I want to say. You looked at that starting lineup, and it was D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Taurean Prince, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. That's how the Lakers started out the season. That was the starting 5. And there's been so many mixes since then. And everybody thought, hey, Taurean Prince probably going to go to the bench once Vando gets healthy. It took so long for Vando to come back. But I thought, at least for me, and I'm going to get into Vanderbilt in just a second because I know we got to talk about Vando. I thought for me, looking at that starting lineup, the most important thing for me when he said that's going to be the starting lineup for the foreseeable future, the thing that was most important to me was, okay, at least there's going to be some consistency. And it's crazy because Austin Reeves in the starting lineup, then he's on the bench, then they put him back in. D'Lo obviously starting lineup, then he goes to the bench. You saw his minutes start coming down. I'm like, damn, maybe they're not going to use D'Lo. And the D'Lo thing I know threw off a lot of people when that happened, based on the few of the beat writers that I talked to and I have on on my radio shows or on the pregame show. I know everybody kind of was thrown off, and I think they were thrown off on D'Lo going to the bench. But this starting lineup for now, part of the justification that Darvin Ham had was they've played the most. These are the 5 that have played the most this year. I think, Austin Reeves has not missed a game yet. Anthony Davis has only missed 2 games. I want to say Taurean Prince and LeBron maybe have missed 4 games, and D'Lo has missed 5, something like that. But they are the 5 players that have played the most this year, and he thought, I got enough offensive power here, I got enough weapons here, and these guys have been consistently around. Let me just play the guys that are most available. So the starting lineup so far against 2 good teams, the Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks, have done, I think, a pretty good job. And then, you're going to start looking at some of those bench players that need to come in, guys like Christian Wood, Rui Hachimura. I think a lot of people are going to look at. The one guy I have not really talked about off the bench, it was nice to see Vando. You felt like had some nice impact. I love the 9 rebounds, 7 points. Don't really pay attention to the points, just his activity, his defensive presence. I thought Vando made a nice impact tonight. And frankly, to be honest with you, we haven't really been able to say that all year long. Where last season, when the Lakers were making that run, we definitely were able to say that. That was not uncommon at all to talk about how Jared Vanderbilt is having an impact, that he's playing good ball, and that has not been the case. And I thought tonight that was certainly the case. Okay, a couple things I want to do here real quick. Underdog Fantasy is a proud partner of the show, and I want to throw out the code to you guys, Hoops LA. Hoops LA. I'm not going to actually make my picks. I'm going to ask you guys, just get your opinion on it. Here are the 2 right here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander tomorrow taking on the Utah Jazz. Should I go higher or lower than 31.5 points? Higher or lower for Shai? And then Lauri Markkanen, higher or lower than 24.5 points? Really fun to play these games. It really is. Underdog Fantasy, a proud partner. If you go and you sign up, you go on Underdog Fantasy, go to the website, use my code, HoopsLA, they'll match your first deposit of up to $100. What does that mean? Put $50 into the account. They'll match it. You have an extra $50 to play with. House money, as we like to call it. So you have $100 there. Or put up to $100. They'll match the $100. You have $200 in your account. It's really easy to play. I always go pick'ems. I go pregame. I go NBA because I love the NBA, but you could do the NFL. You could do, hockey if you're a hockey fan, baseball when it comes back. I'm just an NBA fan. This is obviously an NBA show. I'll get your guys' opinion on this. Shai Gilgeous, higher or lower than 31.5 points? Lauri Markkanen, 24.5 points. Higher or lower? Put it into the chat. I'll use your picks, and I'll let you know if I won or not. It's that easy. Literally, you just got to put you put 2 in, and you place your bet there. Okay, let's keep rolling here. NBA standings. I want to point this out real quick. I got 3 other things I want to do. I want to go into the NBA standings real quick and just where the Lakers are. I do it after every game, so we're going to do it here. Plus, I want to talk a little bit about the next game against the Brooklyn Nets and Zach LaVine, a quote that came from Brian Windhorst. Let me just really quick, let me hear D'Lo, see if he says anything. Says a lot of respect for his coach, for Darvin Ham.
How do you diagnose, like self-diagnose? Okay, something's not working here. That needs to change, or this is just the ups and downs of the season, and I'll come out of it.
Just know my credibility. I know what I'm capable of. I never forget it. I'll never forget it. My confidence will always be high.
Says you always got high confidence. You'll never forget it. Listen, bottom line on D'Lo, and I know this dude's a polarizing guy. Lakers need him to play well. That's the best way that I can put it. They need him to play well. It's important that he plays well. And as much as, we're all sitting here and you could be a fan of him, you could hate his game, however you want to describe it, that's up to you. But Lakers are a better team when he plays well. His last 4 games, he's averaging 25 points a game, shooting 50% from 3, 53% from the field, and almost 5 assists a game. So I go back to it. The Lakers are a better team when D'Angelo Russell plays well, period. Now, they might trade him in a couple weeks. And if they improve their team because of that, then they improve their team because of that. But they are a better team when D'Angelo Russell is playing well. Latest on the standings here real quick. I'll show you guys the standings as we kind of both walk through it together. Lakers, did they gain ground? Did they not gain ground? They did not. 21-21. They stay at the number 10 spot, a game in front of the Houston Rockets. Here's what's crazy is Utah has won 9 of their last 10 games. They've won 6 games in a row. They're only going up. Phoenix, 22-18. They've won 3 in a row, 7-3 in their last 10 games. It seems like they're only going up. A couple wins. They beat the Lakers, had a huge comeback against the Sacramento Kings, who blew a lead. And then there's some separation here, about 3 games between the Lakers at number 10 and Dallas at number 7. So that kind of shows you here you're 2 games out of the number 12 spot, and you're 3 games out of number 7. So let's see if and number 6, technically. This is where you want to be, Laker fans. You want to be in that number 6 spot. I think we all know that. But after the win tonight, that's where it puts the Lakers. They don't move up, but they move a little bit closer to where those other teams are. And you gain a full game on the Dallas Mavericks, who are obviously in front of you. Okay. Let me read some of these comments here, and we'll keep going here. Got the Dante Exum. Okay, here's another one. Joke and Slee, D'Lo setting the table, giving him props. Listen, I'm okay. I'm okay with people. Again, I'm going to go back to this. If the Lakers, if they kept D'Angelo Russell, listen, Austin Reeves can get traded at the trade deadline. That could very easily happen. If they want DeJounte Murray, I'm sure that the Atlanta Hawks are going to want Austin Reeves in return, and then whatever package they're going to get on top of that, potentially a draft pick and everything else. It's nothing personal with any of these guys. You're just looking at, I want to give guys credit when they deserve the credit, and at the same time, I think it's fair to be critical of these players when we need to as well. What else we got here? Isn't it better to play Rui more than Taurean Prince? Francis, it's actually a good topic. That's an interesting conversation. I would tell you, yes, I agree. The one thing I will say with Taurean Prince, doesn't need the ball. I feel like he always is in the right spot. I feel like he's going to be more a threat to spread the floor. Now, Rui's going to give you other things. Rui's going to be a better rebounder. Rui's going to he's got more length. I think he's you can post up Rui. You can run plays for Rui. I don't think you need to run anything for Taurean Prince. So if I look at their minutes, I really would like to see Rui's minutes go up. Taurean Prince played 21 minutes today, and Rui played 21. So it's Vando that actually ended up with 26 minutes. So I think that's the one that's a little bit more impressive. All right, another one here. Reeves is just with it. I could be surfing. I don't know if I understand that comment right there. I don't know if you're talking about, and I appreciate the super. I appreciate all the supers, by the way. I don't know if you mean that. I don't know if you mean that positively. You don't mean it positively. My apologies, but I don't really know what that exactly means. Arthur comes back. Yeah, but in the playoffs, he'll give you goose eggs. Arthur, I have I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have a lot of confidence that come playoff time that D'Lo's going to have to prove himself, period. So whether that's in the finishing off the rest of this regular season or in the postseason, you're not wrong there. And I think probably a lot of Laker fans would agree with you on that. Okay, let me see some of these other comments out here. What do we got here from our people? What up, Sliwa? Great win. Team looked great. They did. You are 100% right. All right, let me read a couple more of these comments. D'Lo the wild card. Yeah, he is a wild card. Okay, let me get in a couple more things that I want to get into. Just real quick, Lakers got the Nets coming up on Friday. So Nets 16 and 23. I think they had a game going on while the Lakers were playing. I'm going to see what the score is there. Double check here on that score. They playing Portland or something like that. What do they got here? Yeah, it's a 1-point game. They're playing the Blazers. So Nets are not a good team. 16 and 23 on the season. You know, this is obviously a team that went out and traded KD and Kyrie, and they got rid of a lot of their players. So they got a lot of – they don't have a star. They just got a lot of nice players that Cale Bridges, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Nick Claxton, Spencer Dinwiddie. They don't have a star. So they're clearly not playing all that good. 16 and 23. You have to beat the Brooklyn Nets, period. I mean, you go look at the schedule, and I certainly have been looking at the last couple of weeks of January. Look what you got in front of you. You just took care of Dallas. You beat OKC. You just took care of Dallas. You got Brooklyn and Portland are your next two games, both at home. Then you don't have to travel anywhere. You got a Clippers game. Obviously, that's going to be a tough one. Then you got Chicago at home. Then you got Golden State on the road. Golden State's not playing good basketball. Houston and Atlanta on the road. But those are not two teams that are overly impressive or anything. So they have a little bit of an opportunity here to start making a run. And you know, I hope they do. I hope that the Lakers put themselves in a position that by the time the dust settles in January, I was saying it on Lakers Talk yesterday. I was talking a little bit about how, what was it? 8 games. They already took this one. I said that they got to go at minimum 5-3, but really 6-2 is what they desperately need. You know, you go 5-3, you're now only 1 game over 500. So they got to do, no, I guess, yeah, because that's including this win tonight. But 6-2 starts kind of putting you in a position where you could start looking forward a little bit and saying, okay, we're starting to move up in the standings a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw this, and I'll get into some of your comments here in just a second. By the way, if you guys would like to, always welcome to. We'll do a little roll call as well, and I'll give some shout outs. Just tell me where you're tuning in from, the state, the city that you're tuning in from, anywhere in the U.S. or anywhere internationally, and I'll try to give you a shout out here as we do roll call. I don't know if you guys saw this story. As you guys can tell, I got a lot to talk about today because I haven't got to freaking do a show with you guys here in a while. I mean, I just started. I went back to radio yesterday and then did Lakers Talk last night. Did obviously my show this morning pregame, and then this is the first Lakers game that I get a chance to react to. So I thought it was interesting. Brian Windhorst, who I'm a huge fan of, you know, I think I've talked about Brian Windhorst, or I've had a good relationship with him for a long time, and Windhorst had a really, really interesting on his Hoop Collective podcast. He was talking about, I'm trying to find the exact quote here because I was looking at it a little bit earlier. He said there's a 0% chance that the Lakers are trading for Zach LaVine. So all that chatter and all that conversation, which kind of shows you, to be honest with you, how you can't really believe too much of this stuff that's going out there, and so much of it is chatter. And I thought, for me, it was like, well, why would they be talking about Zach LaVine 1 month, or it was more than that? It was in November that this conversation started going out. Like, Zach LaVine, why would they already be talking about Zach LaVine this far away from the trade deadline? A lot of the guys weren't even able to be traded till December 15th or January 15th for that matter. And Brian Windhorst went on the Hoop Collective podcast and he said that there's a 0% chance that the Lakers are trading for Zach LaVine. His exact quote, I think, was 0.0. I think there's a 0% chance of the Lakers trading for Zach LaVine. This Windhorst talked about. And, you know, I know I'll read one more thing here. This is from Tim Bontemps. It said, Zach LaVine at least is a great three-point shooter, but like, again, if they trade all this stuff for Zach LaVine, I don't think that's solving their problems either. So I'm going to go back to, you know, something that I had talked about in the before. For me, my hesitation with Zach LaVine is this. The man is making $200+ million, $215 million. And I know this is year one, but you still got 4 more years after that. It's not like he's the most available player as well. I want to look at how many games he's played this season, just because I know he's missed a handful of games. But I'm not looking for, he's played 24 this year. So let's say he's missed 16 or 17 games so far this year, somewhere around there. In his career, and this is now he's getting close to his 10th season. Last year, he played 77. That's a lot. Year before that, he played 67. Before that, 58 and 60. So, and I think that was a little bit limited games because of COVID and everything going on. But my concern with Zach LaVine is you're going to owe this dude so much money for 4 years. Do you feel like that's a short-term solution and a long-term solution? I'm not really all that crazy about Zach LaVine, Anthony Davis. That's the two moving forward for the future. And don't get me wrong, they would still have to add another all-star. But damn, it's a lot of money. DeJounte Murray is not half the money, but kind of close to half the money. Right. And I like his skill set. And I like him as a third. I think he would be a really, really good third best player on a real contender. So anyways, that came from Brian Windhorst. I wanted to point that out because there's been so much chatter and conversation about Zach LaVine. And then here's Windhorst coming out. And I trust Windhorst. I do. I think the guy is as dialed in as anybody else. He doesn't do things, I think, for attention. He just, what he feels like he knows or people that he knows. He doesn't feel like the Lakers are going to go out there and make some type of a trade for Zach LaVine. So something to keep in mind there, Laker fans. I don't think that's probably going to be happening anytime soon. Okay, let me get to a couple of these shout-outs here. I want to see Max Christie get a little bit more playing time. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, I got a couple people here. By the way, I appreciate you guys. David Sabatini, lower for Shea Gilgeous, higher for Marketing. I got higher for both here from Chags. Okay, here's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to do this one time, and next time we do a show, I'm going to tell you how the results went. I'm going to go with David. I'm going to go with yours on this one. I'm just going to pick yours, and I'm going to let you know if we are able to win or not. Like I mentioned, it's a Hoops LA is the code if you ever go on there and you want to be a part of Underdog Fantasy. They're a proud partner of the channel. I'm going to use David's on the stream here. Lower for Shea. So let's go lower for Shea. And I think he said higher for Laurie. Did I get that right? Higher for Laurie Marketing. That's it. Put in my 20. Submitting my picks. Confirm. Let's call it a day. Got our picks in. Okay. There you go. Done there. Okay. Now I got to give some shout outs here. What do we got? I'll kind of rotate it. Next time I'll do somebody else's. Unless I win. So if I win, then I'm going to keep rolling with the same person here. Let me find everybody here. Illinois in the house. Thank you for being a part of the show. University of Newcastle. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Tommy says, did you shadow box yet? Bro, I already got it in. Zach LaVine costs way too much. I'm with you, O.C. O'Neill. Get some more of these here. Linwood, Southeast LA. Thank you for being a part of the show. Let's see what else we got here. Where we got our people from? Sometimes it's tough to keep track of this. Koreatown in the house. The Zach LaVine trade was Fugazi. Sliwa David, that's the perfect way to use it. Little Fugazi in the house. San Jose, Costa Rica in the house. Pale Fox is in LA Live, which is literally our address. Thank you. Might as well come by tomorrow morning. Little Italy, Vegas in the house. Far East LA, El Monte. Thank you all for being a part of the show. Philippines in the house. West Covina, Corona. Thank you all for being a part of the show. Don, sad news out of Golden State. Very, very sad news. The assistant coach, and this one's kind of crazy. Something to keep in mind here. So the assistant coach, we all know it by this point, passed away, had a heart attack yesterday. And I've done a terrible job trying to pronounce his name. Dejan Milojevic. I hope I pronounce it right. 46 years old, passes away, has a heart attack at their team meal. So they're at a hotel. I think they were getting ready to play the Utah Jazz. passes away, and tragic. So yeah, feel very, very bad. So prayers to him and his family. Isn't that crazy? Like Darvin Ham addressed it before the game started. Obviously Michael Thompson, who I do the pregame show with, his son Clay. He has another son too that's part of the staff there, and that's the same team. So obviously, there's a connection. That's just a trip. Here we are, always talking about basketball and everything else, and take a second to smell the roses. Let's just say that. DC, thank you for tuning in. San Jose, Costa Rica, I appreciate you being a part of the show. Rochester, New York, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Redondo Beach. Thank you all for being a part of the show. Okay, New Jersey, King Taco, if you know, you know. Hawaii in the house. Australia. Abu Dhabi. Thank you all for being a part of the show. Like fans, I think that's all we got tonight. Feels good to be back. Feels good to get a show in. It's been a while since we did. We went a solid 45 minutes, so that was fun. Lakers all over the Mavs, 127 to 110. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. I will be back. What's today? Friday after Brooklyn. Late game Friday. I think there's 7:30 tip against Brooklyn. So that game will end. We'll come back here to my people, and we'll keep this thing going. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the Laker day off tomorrow. We'll get back with you guys on Friday. Thank you, Lake fans. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your night.